Hi, I am Jessi Allender, registered dietitian, professional chef, and mom home during the COVID 19 lockdown here in Chicago. Today is May 24th, it's Sunday, Memorial Day weekend. Wishing everybody a happy Memorial Day or a meaningful Memorial Day. Today I'm going to be making a zucchini and banana bread. I'm going to tell you all about that. And what's interesting about this recipe is this is for me to eat bread. I follow an AIP, an autoimmune protocol. It's helped me a lot, which is why I follow it. I think the science is really shoddy, so I'm going to just lay that out there. I know there's lots of dietitians out there and other professionals that work, medical professionals that work doing autoimmune disease treatment and protocols. This is a diet meant to reduce the symptoms of an autoimmune disease. Me personally, I have the differential diagnosis for my autoimmune disease is very complicated. So we're not sure, myself and the doctors, if it's lupus or if it's organs. Either way, I'm not medicated, thank God, because the medication protocols can be make this time with the COVID-19 even more dangerous. So my thoughts and prayers are out there with everybody who, with an autoimmune disease, who is medicated, because the medical treatment for autoimmune disease is immunosuppressants. And immune suppressing people during a pandemic makes those people super, super high risk for not only catching the disease, but having a much worse outcome than others. So I am thinking about you guys always. Like I said, I have managed to stay unmedicated, but my symptoms persist. My symptoms include some pretty debilitating arthritic pain, swelling in my joints, my hands, my wrists, my knees, my shoulders. Sometimes it makes it really super hard to walk upstairs or to hold on to objects. I drop stuff a lot, so I have to be super careful when I'm holding something because of that. But when I can get my symptoms down, especially the arthritis, the other thing I get is really bad rash reactions on my hands, face, my feet, called dyshydrotic eczema, which is an extremely itchy, blistering eczema. Sorry, guys, that many people suffer from. Some people get it simply from stress. Show up on little blisters on your fingers. Some people get it more severe. I actually got it so bad that it caused me, back in 2010 and 2011, blisters on my feet. And so I couldn't walk. I was on crutches for a lot of 2010, or 2009, 2008. I had a lot of problems walking, which helped. It was only on one foot, so I always favored the other leg, and now my left leg doesn't work very well as a reminder of that. And my hip got hurt just from walking funny. Anyway. So these days, about 3 years ago, I cut alcohol entirely out of any of my intake, including the residual alcohol from yeast fermentation. So I don't eat bread. And my symptoms were lowered dramatically, very few rashes, but my arthritis persisted. And about 4 months ago, I adopted an autoimmune protocol. I read a couple different books on this. I was inspired by a friend who is on her most recent Crohn's test. Came up with absolutely no diagnosable signs of Crohn's, which is amazing. And so most of the autoimmune protocols out there are very similar to a paleo or even a ketogenic diet. And I don't do that. But I do, I was pretty much there for a while. So it's no grains, no beans, fruits and vegetables, except for in the vegetables, no nightshades. The most common nightshades are tomatoes, potatoes, bell peppers, eggplants, and tomatillos are all in the nightshade family. Also, goji berries is my understanding. So it's a family related to belladonna, nightshades, and those tend to be more reactive. So I did that very strictly. So no gluten, no grains, no rice, no beans, no legumes, not even green beans. Vegetables, except for no tomatoes, no peppers, no chilies, no eggplants, no tomatillos, and then fruits. And very limited extra sugars, trying to stick only to fruit. And then no processed oils. The only oil I included was extra virgin olive oil. And then meats, lots of meats, because that's the rest, right? So lots of lettuce and lots of meats. Also, because I have a autoimmune thyroid condition, there's some gordoroids out there that I also avoid. And so one thing I was relying on when I first tried AIP was sweet potatoes, because they're included, and it's a nice starchy thing that's satisfying and rich. But that's a big gordoroid, so I avoid those two, sweet potatoes and cruciferous vegetables. It's really limiting. So I've tried to broaden it and maintain low inflammation and feeling well. Getting exercise is also an important part of that. And recently I added back way too much, so I'm going back onto the wagon. I added back tomatoes and chilies and eggs and all sorts of things, and I found myself in pain again, so I'm going back off it. And today I'm making a banana zucchini bread that's going to fit into my AIP. One thing that I am including in my AIP is white rice or even brown rice. Typically that is avoided. So today for this bread, here are the ingredients. Let's see if I can get the camera to come down. There we go. So what we've got, I've got some rice flour. I've got some tapioca starch. I've got some unsweetened shredded coconut. I've got some coconut milk. This isn't like drinkable coconut milk. This is leftovers from one of these cans. Or maybe it was the Trader Joe's coconut cream, but this is the kind with lots of fat in it. You could alternatively use coconut oil, but I had this coconut cream left over from another recipe that I used, so I'll be using that. It's been refrigerated, and so it is a little bit of water, but it's solid. And the reason I'm using this is there is more water in here and less fat, because I'm also trying to maintain my weight, not gain weight. So I want to, though I'm adding some nice delicious fats to this recipe, I am going to use coconut milk instead of just coconut oil. And then I've got some baking soda and some apple cider vinegar, and of course the stars of the show, some bananas. These are bananas that were frozen that I've defrosted, and they're going to be really nice and strong in flavor, and a zucchini. And I'm going to add a little bit of cinnamon and nutmeg just to make it extra delicious. So let's get going. Here is my bowl. So here's my zucchini. I'm going to get my bananas, I'm going to get my zucchini in the bowl, nice and quick. It's already washed, and I'm going to use this fine shredder to get the zucchini ready. You could certainly do this in a food processor. You could certainly buy the zucchini that's already shredded or noodled, and then just chop it up a bit to put it in here. But as you can see, it goes pretty quickly. So the zucchini is going to give it some lightness, some flavor, some fiber, because otherwise this is going to be a pretty dense bread without any eggs. Oh, get grated. Okay, I'm going to leave that bit behind. Without any eggs and without any gluten, it has a tendency, breads have a tendency to get really, really dense. And so the zucchini will give it some lightness. I have my baking pan ready with some parchment paper. The recipe is going to be fatty enough that I think it's going to just come right out. So I've got 2.5 frozen bananas, and I'm going to leave that liquor behind because that's going to concentrate the banana flavor, and I'm going to get those into my zucchini. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my coconut cream. It's about 3/4 of a cup. It's cold. If it was room temperature, it would be more liquid. That's okay. There we go. Oh my goodness. I feel so refreshed and revitalized today. You know, I'm a single mom by choice, and showering is something that is not necessarily something I can manage every day, because I have to really have my kids set up so that they can leave me alone. I'm not good at being in and out. I was never a sprinter. I never have been. So today I got one, and I just feel so amazing. I got some sleep last night, which is again another thing that's super important for my management of my symptoms. Is getting that adequate sleep, which for me is like 8, 9, 10 hours of rest in the bed. I want to get all of my wet ingredients mixed together really well before I add my dry ingredients. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and add a tablespoon of vinegar to my wet ingredients. I have my oven preheated. This is apple cider vinegar. And the apple cider vinegar is going to help activate the baking soda when that goes in. So let me get that mixed in. And I'm going to put that baking soda into my flours and then mix it all together. Let me get my dry ingredients though. Here is a bowl. You know, you want to mix, you want to activate that baking soda at the last minute so that it really poofs up the whole bread. So I'm going to get a cup of, rice flour. Oh, go on. Go back in there. Thank you. This is a combination of white and brown rice flour. And then I'm going to do 1/2 cup of tapioca starch. You could use cassava starch, potato starch. Well, if you're avoiding potatoes, starch is starch, really, in my book. I use this a lot for dumpling dough when I'm making dumplings. Okay, 1/2 cup. And then a shake of salt. I'm going to use iodized salts. There we go. And then I'm going to get in a teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, just about. Good enough. Mix that together. Oh, and then my coconut. I'm going to use about 1/2 cup of coconut. This is a shredded coconut, unsweetened, 1/2 cup. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle that over my wet ingredients. Okay, so now I'm ready to mix together. And get into my prepared baking dish. Right here I've got a 8-inch square, 1-inch, 1.5-inch deep baking pan and my 350-degree oven. Go. Like I said, a little bit of cinnamon. All right, the proof's going to be in the pudding on this one. I'm going to enjoy it. If the kids do or not, you know, that's always something to think about. But this one's for me because I like having some bread from time to time. There we go. I will share some pictures and the taste test on Facebook later when we give it a try. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm going to get this in the oven right away. We've got the rest of our plan for Memorial Day to get to. I hope that yours is meaningful, and I hope that you're feeling well. Thanks so much for checking this out. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button right below. Take care.